Hello, hello, welcome back to Red Ted Art. Look at these super cute peas in a pod necklaces. Now can you guess what we made them from? Come and find out. So to make your easy peasy peas in a pod pendant, you will need, or whatever you want to use it for, you will need some salt dough. Salt dough is really versatile and really easy to make. You will need 2 cups of flour, plain flour. You'll need 1 cup of salt, ordinary salt, and up to, so not quite, 1 cup of water. If you look up here, there's a detailed tutorial as how to make it. I've also linked it in the comments, but to be honest, you mix all your ingredients together and then you knead it until you get a smooth dough, a bit like this. Now the exciting thing about salt dough as well, and many people don't know this, is you can colour it before you start working with it, and you can colour it any colour you want. I tend to use a high quality food colouring to do it, but you can use paints, you can use all sorts of different things. You just have a look at what you've got at home, but you have to experiment, if I'm being honest, because different colours work better than others. I think this high quality salt dough works really well, but not all high quality salt dough. It's high quality food colouring works really well. It's called Sugar Flare, and it's quite good. And but not all of them do, because some of the paints you use, I'll tell you in a minute why I've separated it. But one of the paints you use, sometimes they look really good whilst the dough is wet, but once it's dried, they kind of fade a bit. So if you want to have a really, really good effect colour, you do actually need to have a good colouring to begin with. Now if they do fade a bit after you've done it, I've noticed that if you put varnish over the top, they'll get some of their some of that shine back. Now I'm using green, as you can see, and I'm going to use the same green for both the peas and the pod, if that makes sense. So the pod needs to be a really dark green or strong green, and the peas are kind of like a softer, lighter green. So as I'm mixing it, I'm just checking whether this is light enough for the peas. I'm thinking I might want them a bit lighter. Colour theory applies. So by mixing plain salt dough in with the green, you're going to get a lighter one, and by adding more green paint, into the white, you'll get the darker green. So I think this will be okay for my peas. Let's see. Now if you'll find that at any time your salt dough is beginning to dry out a little whilst you're working with it, I've got a little cup of water standing next to me. You can just dip your fingers in, not the whole salt dough, and just sort of dampen it as you go. So I think that'll be okay actually for the peas. So I'm going to move that out of the way. Now I need to make a darker green. I might have to add a bit more colour. Let's get some more out. Like I say, a good quality food colouring is really good for this. Makes all the difference. If you use cheap food colouring, you'll find once it's dry, you just can't see the colour quite so well. I can link these food colours actually in the comments. Now I'm going to end up with green fingers, I know I will. Don't worry, it does wash off. In fact, I was doing something in yellow earlier and it did wash off, so you'll be fine. You might have slightly green fingers for a couple of days, but hey, you're arty, right? I think this one's drying out a bit because of the food colour, so I've just popped my fingers in the jar to get the nice dark green. So let me finish off getting these colours right, and then we'll get making. So now I have 2 nice coloured doughs. I've just gone off to wash my hands, and we can now shape our little what's it called? Peas in the pod. So let's just tidy this away, put this over here. We're going to use this to attach some little wires so you can hang it up on a necklace. So the first thing you need to do is you create some little peas. Now you can make them as big or as small as you like. I would say don't make them too small, because otherwise when you're trying to add some of the facial details later, you just won't be able to see it so well. And yeah, that's basically it. Here we go. I'm kind of making this up as I go along. So let's see how this works. There's 3 peas in a pod. You can do 2 or 3. I'm going to make 2 different ones, one with 3 and one with 2. Let's see. go. Now to make the kind of house or the pod. I sometimes talk rubbish, don't I? So I'm going to make a big ball. I'm going to flatten it like so. And I'm going to make it sort of ovally. A nice oval shape. Bring this in. Bring up the sides. And squeeze the ends. Gosh, that was nice and easy, wasn't it? Now, if you do want to hang this up for drying, not for drying, but if you want to be able to wear it, this is where you need to add some wire. So this is normal craft wire. If you've got one of those little hooks that you do for jewellery, even better. But I don't have any of that. And craft wire is something that I use a lot for lots of different projects, so I've got it around. I'm just going to bend it and make a little hook out of it. Now, I'm going to put the craft wire in. That won't be enough, as in it won't be strong enough. It won't stay in. So once it's sort of dried, I'm actually going to pop a little bit of glue on it as well, just to keep it in place. But the fact that I'm putting it in now will already really help secure it in place, like so. And the reason I put wire on is that salt dough, at the end of the day, is fragile. And if you try and make a hole in here, you can do that, but sometimes we've found it can break. So that's my first pea. I'm now going to make the other set and then let it dry, and then we'll add the finishing touches. So it's quite a sunny day here, so I'm going to just leave them outside to dry. They'll probably dry in a day or two. If it's a really hot day, they'll dry in one day. The important thing is you might have to turn them a little bit once they start drying, because the back needs to dry too, if that makes sense. And you can see it's on a plate, which means it won't stick to it, and you can get it off later. If you're in a hurry for them, you can pop them in the oven on some baking paper, and you can dry them at 50 to 80 degrees C, and it might take 3 or 4 hours there as well. But you know, I quite like using nature and just popping them outside and letting them dry. So let's wait. So these are our salt dough peas ready. This is because we squeezed that in. These are nice and tight. If this metal bit wasn't tight, I would probably add a little bit of glue, so make sure yours are, otherwise just pop a little glue in the top. Now I'm going to take some marker pens. You can use paints if you want, but I think pens are a bit easier, and I'm going to very carefully start drawing some little faces on it. So I quite like keeping it really simple in the kawaii style. And if there's like 3 friends, you can have 3 peas. If there's 2 of you, have 2 peas. And it's a really nice sort of friendship bracelet that you can make. Super, super cute. And then do this one as well. There we go. Oh, they're adorable. And I'm going to use a pink pen and just add some little cheeks. There we go. And you have your pendants finished. Super, super cute, I think. And I love that these are made from salt dough. Now you can either get like a little silver chain like this, or you can get like a leather strap. That would look really nice as well. And then these are ready to be given to your friends and worn. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? Lovely. Anyway, I hope you like this craft. As always, don't forget to check out the rest of my channel, subscribe, and we hope to see you here again soon.